Hello, everyone. It is Miss Mann, your Learning Center Specialist, and we are going to continue to read chapters 8, 9, and 10 in The Skeleton Man, written by Joseph Bruchac. Chapter 7, we left off with Molly telling Miss Chavez, her teacher, that her weird, creepy uncle locks her in her room every night, and so Miss Chavez takes her down to the school counselor, and the school counselor isn't quite interested in what Molly has to say until she tells her that she gets locked in her room every night. So they bring the basically the police out there and to her house, and the uncle is ready for them because they actually called him and told him that DCFS or the authorities were coming out to check the house and see what's happening, and that gave him time to take the locks off of the door and put them on so that the lock was on the inside of Molly's room. And so after they leave, Molly's in her room, of course, scared out of her wits of what her uncle might, or supposedly uncle might do to her. And as she's listening, she can hear him come up the stairs, and there's the whirling of the electric screwdriver. She says, I don't even have to guess what he's doing. After a while, he comes down and walks out the back door to his work shed. That night, when I am in my room and my door is closed, I hear his feet coming up the stairs. Then, after a moment of heart stopping silence, there's a familiar sound. Snick. He locks my door from the outside. So she's trying desperately to get some help, and to no avail. The weird, creepy uncle is one step ahead of her. And so we are on chapter 8, The Girl in the Story. It's worse than it was before. Now he knows how I really feel about him. He knows that I suspect him. That means he'll be twice as watchful. I calm myself. I try to imagine him sitting in front of his computer or outside in his tool shed, a normal person doing normal things. But I can't. All I can see is my all I can see in my mind is the image of the cave creature from my dream, crouched in the corner, its long, uncombed hair over its face, its clawed hand reaching backward to grasp my arm to see if I am fat enough to eat. I don't want to think about that. I stretch out on the bed. Ugh, it's all so hopeless. I try to remember one of the funny stories that Dad tells, one in which the things will happen are so silly that you just have to laugh. Some of them are old stories, but some are about things that happened to him when he was a kid, like the time when he talked his little brother into jumping into a muddy pond with all his clothes on and to try to catch a turtle. Then, realizing his little brother was going to get in trouble because he'd gotten his clothes dirty, Dad jumped in too, so that the both of them would get in trouble. That way, the trouble would be half as bad for each of them, Dad explained. Maybe that doesn't sound funny to you, but the way Dad told it, it always made me laugh. Thinking about it, it almost, almost I did laugh until another thought comes to me. I may never hear my father's voice again. Then the little smile that had started to form on my face disappears. I'm so sure that I won't be able to sleep that night. It surprises me when I realize I'm dreaming again. I'm no longer in the room that has never been mine. Instead, I'm standing in the forest. I know I haven't gotten there by sleepwalking. Even if the door had been left unlocked and I'd found my way out of the house, I could never have found a place like this in the waking world. The trees are so big, bigger than the redwoods of California that I've seen in pictures. There haven't been trees that big around here in central New York for 300 years or more. The trees aren't the only clue that I'm somewhere other than the usual waking world. The two figures who stand in front of me make it more clear that I am back in my dream. One of them is the same rabbit I saw before. It's a snowshoe rabbit. It wears its summer coat of brown, not the white of winter that it puts on when the snow is on the ground. It's more than twice as big as the little cottontail rabbits that I sometimes see near at the edge of the school playground by the little patch of woods. The other one is me. How strange to be looking at me. How strange to be me looking at me. I blinked twice at that. But there are subtle differences. The other me has skin that has a little more tan than mine. Her hair is longer, and there's a little scar on her cheek, just below her left eye, as if something sharp, a knife or a claw, cut it once. She's also dressed the way I remember being dressed in my dream in the cave. Moccasins, a deerskin dress, braided rawhide bracelet on her wrist. I stared at that bracelet. I remember my mom telling me about bracelets like that Mohawk children used to wear to make sure they woke up safely from their dreams. I blinked my eyes again, and the other me is gone. Or is she? I'm standing next to the rabbit now. There are moccasins on my feet. There's a rawhide bracelet around my wrist, and I'm wearing her deerskin dress. My deerskin dress. I'm in someone else's story, I blurted out. No, little sister, says a kind voice at my feet. It is not someone else's story. I look down at the rabbit. What? I say. This is your story now, the rabbit continues. But even though it is your story, you are not safe. You must be brave. Your spirit must still remain strong. For some reason, this makes me angry. After all that's happened, I don't need some furry Oprah Winfrey to tell me I need to get my spirit act in order. Is that all you're going to say? I asked. I asked the rabbit, clenching my fists. That I'm in trouble? Don't you think I already know that? The rabbit hops close to me and places its front paws on my feet and looks up at me. Little sister, it says, I am here to tell you something. Little sister? What? What? I ask in a voice that is no longer angry, a voice that is small and halting. What? Your parents, the rabbit says. They have been buried. No, no, I whisper. They can't be dead. I want to shout, but to do that I have to catch my breath. And right now it feels as if I can't breathe at all. The rabbit's paws are patting my knee. Little sister, the rabbit says, I did not say they were dead. If they were dead, then you could not help them. They are buried, but not dead. Buried but not dead? Can I find hope in that? And if I can't understand what it means, how can I help them? I'm confused and I want to ask the rabbit to explain, but before I can do, it's gone. I sit up, looking around for the rabbit, reaching for it, but I find myself grasping the blankets of my bed. Pictures. Chapter 9. I was interviewed today by a bunch of people. The nurse, the school psychologist, Mrs. Rudder. They think my problem may be a chemical one and that I need counseling. They think that my story about my uncle was brought about the stress of my uncertainty combined with my already imaginative personality. Luckily, I didn't tell them about the rabbit dream. Mrs. Chavez talks to me after school about it all. If you ask me, witch doctors know more about people than some professionals, she says. If there's a problem, throw a prescription at it. That's all they seem to know lately. I wonder why she's talking to me this way. I don't think most teachers would, but Miss Chavez is not most teachers. When she likes someone, trusts someone, she really talks to them. I've never realized before how much she likes me. Honey, she says, I don't care if they didn't find any lock on your door. My bones tell me something's rotten in the state of Denmark. We got trouble right here in River City. Comprende? I nod. Part of me wants to jump up and down and jump up and pump my fists in the air and yell, yes! But even though I have an ally now, there may not be much she can do. Plus, I'm still sick and confused about what I heard in my dream. Those words the rabbit said, my parents are buried? Listen, Miss Shabbos whispers, breaking into my thoughts. Let me start over. Listen, Miss Shabbos whispers, breaking into my thoughts. I'm not saying do anything stupid, but bring me something solid to make your case. I'll move heaven and earth to get you away from that man. Just be careful, hear me? I will, I say. But I'm also thinking that may not matter whether I'm careful or not. Tomorrow is Friday. Whenever I think of it, I start feeling even more scared. I'm the last one to get on the bus. The driver's not happy that he had to wait for me, but Miss Shabbos called down and told him to hold on until I got there. A truck pulled up behind the bus, and as I got on, the men climbed out carrying toolboxes and equipment like drills, power saws, big wrenches, and cable cutters. The school was being hooked up to the information superhighway. They'll be here again tomorrow and then finish after the weekend that begins tomorrow afternoon. By the time I get to the house, I am just about overcome by a feeling of dread. It doesn't help me that the days are getting much shorter now and it's almost dark already. As I open the door and go inside, a little shiver goes down my spine. Hello? I call. No one answers. I look into the kitchen. No note telling me to eat. I wonder if something is wrong, something more wrong than usual, I should say. I walk back into the hall and I notice that the door to my uncle's studio is open. It is rarely open, and it draws it to me like a moth to a flame. Step by step, I walk down the hall. I'm trying to stop myself, but I can't. The only thing I seem to be able to do is to go more slowly so that my steps don't make the floors creak like it would as if I were faster. I try to walk down the way my father taught me that our Mohawk ancestors would have when they wanted to go through the forest without making any noise. My elbows are close to my sides, my hands held in front of me. I place one foot down slowly, then the other until I reach the study door. It's a small room. My uncle isn't in there. There's no place he could hide. His chair is pushed back from the seat as if he had suddenly had to go somewhere. I can see, though, the one window to the back room out to the backyard. The tool shed door is open and a light is coming out of it. That must be it. For some reason, he had to go up and out to the shed to do something. I should turn around now, but I should not go into that room. But I still do. There's a color laser printer next to the computer, the kind that does really high quality prints on heavy gloss paper, just like regular photographs. But uh, what attracts my attention are the three small TV monitors on the shelf above the computer. I take another step closer and I freeze. I felt as if I'd been kicked in the stomach. I was unable to move. My mouth was open and I think I was about to scream. But I don't. Instead, I will myself to thaw out, to tell my feet to start moving me out of that room before my uncle comes back. I get up the stairs. I'm just opening the door to my room when I hear the front door open. Where are you? My uncle calls. His raspy voice is a little out of breath and maybe a little worried. Where are you? He calls out again, louder this time. Up here, I called back. I don't feel good. I'm going to bed. His heavy feet are coming up the stairs faster than usual. I shut the door before he gets to me. He's breathing hard, waiting outside the hall. He doesn't speak, and neither do I. Finally, he snicks the lock and goes back downstairs. I crouch in the corner of the room with my arms around my legs. All I can see, even when I close my eyes, are the pictures on those TV screens. Live pictures from the hidden cameras trained on the front door, my back door, and the door to my room. Looking. Even though I'm more afraid than I've ever been, I'm thinking fast as I crouch in the corner, curled into a ball, hoping I'm out of the camera's sights. I have so many questions in my mind. When did he set up those TV cameras and why haven't I seen them? Why does he have them set up like that? Then there's the scariest question of all. What will he do next? I have got to be logical, though. That's what my mom always tells me. First, think before you try to run from a problem, before you try to run away from a problem. Otherwise, you might run right into it and even worse. And stay alert. I've always been a light sleeper, and Dad used to say it was because I had warrior genes, and he teased me about it, calling me warrior girl. He told me my Indian name might be blah blah blah. Let me start over. I've always been a light sleeper. Dad used to say it was because I had warrior genes, and he teased me about it, calling me warrior girl. He told me my Indian name might be keeps herself awake. In the old days, I would have been the one told to keep white. In the old days, I would have been the one who told keep watch at night against enemies. Nor neither he nor my mom could ever come into my room at night without waking me up instantly. There is no way that my so-called uncle can sneak into my room without me knowing it, unless I've been drugged. Ugh. But I haven't felt strange since that first night. I've stayed away from the food, and I'm certainly now that the person who calls himself my uncle is an imposter at best, and something much more terrible at worst. I began to think of my dream, of the similarities between the creature fattening the girl and my uncle. Skeleton Man. He's a modern day skeleton man, and this house is his cave. A glimmer of hope appears to me. If it really is like my dream, maybe I can find an answer in my dreams about what to do. It is too cold in the corner and it's too hard to think there. I get up and I climb on the bed and I let my head fall back onto the pillow. I start remembering back to the times I've come awake in night and since before I've been there. Lots of times, lots of times now that I think of it. Every time it's been because I've had the feeling that I've been being watched. I've just I've just opened one eye slowly, just a little. Not enough for anyone to notice I'm no longer sleeping. My whole body has been awake and waiting to act each time I've done this. But I've never seen anything. There has never been anything else in the room. Never. Hmm. But maybe there's a TV camera set up to look at me in here too. Maybe the monitor for that camera is in his bedroom down the hall. I look up at the ceiling. Up there, where there up there is where it must be. I've learned about fiber optics in school, and I know just how small the opening can be for a lens. No more than a pinhole. There's a light fixture right over my head. I'm betting that that's where it is. If I piled my suitcase and my box on my bed and climbed up to the top, I could probably reach it. The ceiling is only about 8 feet high, but I won't do that now. I won't do it. I don't want him to know that I know. This has to be like a chess match. Never let your opponent know what your next move is until you make it. I think of what Dad had taught me about chess. He loves the game of chess and is always coaxing me to play with him. Chess is a game based on war, on two armies starting out equally and trying to wipe each other out. Not for brute force, but with strategy, and with thinking ahead much further than one move. My so called uncle probably doesn't think of this as chess or any kind of equal contest. He probably thinks he has all the weapons. He's thinking he's just playing with me. But if I think of this as a chess game, it gives me an advantage. I can't just be a victim. I have to counter, even if it's to find just some way to attack. Great, I think. But now, what will my move be? I know that I have to make one. It has to be a good one. Something my dad says comes back to me, some of the Mohawk warrior wisdom he is always trying to teach me. It doesn't matter if you are hunted or the hunter. Sometimes the most important thing you can do in a tough situation is to keep quiet, breathe slowly, and think. So that's what I do. I sit quietly for a long time. Finally, I think I know what to do. First of all, I don't take off my clothes. I just slip off my sneakers and socks and crawl under the sheets. I pull the blanket over my head like a tent. I know it isn't any real protection, but it makes me feel safe. It's like when I was little and I used to make pretend longhouses under the card tables and drape with curtains. No one could see me. Help me, I whisper. Help me. I whisper as I settle down to sleep. And this time it's not just a generalized plea to the universe. I'm speaking to my dreams. Running. Chapter 11. We're going to stop right there and see what Molly dreams and what strategies she comes up with. Until next time, we have just a few more chapters left of The Skeleton Man. Hope you're enjoying it. Leave me a comment if you do.